Morning, sir.
Okay, I'll grab my laptop and then I'll take you. Well, Alex,
Yes, Alex. Hello. Yeah, it was great. Danny, good to see you again.
Good to serve.
Danny, when you were in Apple, I'm reading this book, Apple in China. It just came out. It's a really good book, and it talks about all of the manufacturing stuff there. You were there in 2007, right?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, so
I never went to China.
You never went to China?
No, I was.
But from a culture point, of course, Apple's very big.
Yeah.
It's pretty amazing at what they did with the manufacturing and the capabilities. Please sit.
I actually, when I was at Joe, we manufactured Pegatron, which is, the same manufacturer. We were adjacent to them. But the security in their manufacturing is really very, very good. They literally have these cameras for inspecting who comes in entire campus. And I was literally where there is a glass. So one day they saw me, I'm looking over, there's a machine, CNC machining for the molds that they put. They literally, next day I saw it, they had just totally put a board that, that you don't see it.
Do you travel a lot?
I used to travel a lot.
Too.
We had 5 factories in China. Yeah, when I was at Zhou.
Wow.
In Shanghai, Suzhou, and Shenzhen. But we had in Hungary, we had in Berlin, and a few of them in US and Wisconsin mostly.
Wonderful. Andrew, do you know Danny? Danny?
Yes, we know there.
Okay, wonderful. So everyone knows that, everybody, right?
Yes.
Of course you know Avi, right?
Yes, hopefully.
Hopefully. Okay, so we just wanted to do a quick brainstorming session, right? So, and of course it's great to have Avi because he's actually experienced ransomware, right, in your career?
Really?
too many times.
Too many times, really?
I think it's public knowledge, so I can say Biomerit went through it. Simply,
Oh, I remember you telling us this. Yeah.
Google Drive, somebody downloaded a payload, they were shut down for 6 months in back, but 3 months no access at all. Wow. And then Baxter, Fresenius. Fresenius was worse actually because Eastern European clinics were completely taken over by the attacker, the ransomware attack. I think it was called Lockbit or something like that. It's a famous one. They got paid, still they did not do it.
Yeah, by the way, on custom ransomware, we use Veeam for our backups. And I have asked them to give us a quote on ransomware, and also they're doing a whole ransom workshop. They're planning to do it, but I have pushed it back onto VM Mod 4. But they will have a 2-day workshop on whole ransomware
And
Veeam.
And the context of this meeting is Avi and I were going through some slides that will be some of us will be presenting next week to the ET, right? Then it'll also be submitted as part of the audit committee. And we have a slide on risk, right? So the last one is ransomware, right? So the moment you have it, I've been through this so many times now, such a trigger word, there'll be like a flurry of questions that come in. And obviously, when you interact with Bob, like if he asks you a question, right? So if you're not able to answer it or don't get him an answer, like you lose a lot of credibility. So whatever we present, we just need to have the depth. So that's what I was talking to Avi, that let's do a session. Let me first walk through the way that I think about it, because we've been doing some thinking about it, and we'd love to get everyone's input into, are we thinking about it the right way or not, right? So we have two main infrastructure, right? So it's the on-prem lab, and Alex just came from there. So what's happening here is here's the inventory, right? So we have the sequencer. The sequencer goes in. There's an interim, what is known as trampoline, and then this more or less sends out the data both to the VPC that's on AWS, and in parallel there's one more copy of the methylation data that is sent over here. So this is mainly genomics data, BCL files mainly. And then there's a whole bunch of other infrastructure, and all of you know because of the Mod 4 work that's going on, right? So we have we have about 1,500, is that right, VMs?
Yeah, 1,100 or so actually.
1,100 VMs, and these map to this is for example, this is the freezer, this is the Hamilton, you know, all of these different types, and there's a corresponding VM associated with it, from what I understand.
Yeah.
Now, what other data is there on-prem? Alex,
So we have, the other data is mostly system status that goes to 10, they look at, you know.
that is also on AWS, right? So
Yeah.
Atlas that controls.
But they send telemetry of IoT type of telemetry that, you know,
This is
I'm
all
alive,
here.
so sensible
Yeah.
and stuff. By the way, a few things. I just saw that we had told them last time we were in RTP that, you know, no devices outside of lab should come to the lab. I saw a lot of people walking with their phones and laptops from outside the lab to the lab. We have to put a policy that they cannot bring outside devices.
Put a big notice.
Yeah, I mean, that's.
So I had a conversation with Paul last night. I said, he's gonna be back on Friday.
Yeah.
That's you, me, and Abhi, meet with him on Friday.
Yeah.
I told him now, we're trying to make sure that we have a good amount of governance on the cybersecurity side. So we wanna put some checks and balances, right? So I think this may be one of, you know.
Yeah.
So we want to tell them very clearly on, you know, what are the things that we want, right? Put it into a
Yeah.
procedure and then have some kind of a way by which Abhi's team can make sure that we're enforcing it, right?
Yeah.
I think that's the structure that we wanna try and get to.
Yep, I think that's a great idea.
So whatever we want, let's make a list.
I have a list.
And tell them that this is what the quality team does, right? They, basically, they work with us, they tell us what they want, we put it into an SDLC or a document, and then they hold us accountable. So the question is, and first we'll begin with the on-prem side, right? What can come in that can hamper our, so all of this Atlas stand is on the AWS cloud, right?
Correct. So this is the idea. Since another workflow, it is one way, except the Atlas and 10 sending the commands to the machines. We want no external access outside of the trampoline or our IT space, or, you know, the machines to come to the, you know, no
So
inbound.
can I draw something for you?
And,
Okay.
and even if trampoline gets compromised, it's not a big deal because the sequencer has
The
5
data
years of
goes,
buffer.
Yeah, so I'll just show you how the bad actors come in.
Yeah, okay.
Because then after that, it's a free field for them,
Yeah.
right? So I'll just say this is grail.com or Grail Bio. I think we have both the domains. I
Yeah,
saw.
we do have
right?
both, correct.
Grail Bio, and there is another third one I saw. I haven't fully understood it yet, but anyway, so.
By the way, we need to provide also you a list of all the domains we have.
Yes,
That's one
yes,
thing.
I have a long list, for sure, we'll get there. So basically, there are 2 or 3 ways the bad actor come in. One is obviously the email, so that attack vector is always, you know, on our radar. So the other one is the cloud.
But they
you know.
come from email, Abhi, the email is all hosted on Google.
Well, that's where I'm going,
Yeah.
that's where I'm going. So, I'm just laying out some attack surface
Yeah,
areas
yeah,
and
yeah.
examples, right? So, email, we have computer, and then the phone,
Yeah.
right? So, basically, this layer is my Active Directories. I think somebody told me we do have Active Directory.
Yeah, we do, no, we do have.
Within the lab?
No, it sits in the VMware and we have also AWS as one instance. of it.
Right, so that's one.
You know, when you log into Secure,
Yeah.
you put your username, that's in Active Directory, that's how it picks up. lets
So,
you-
so those are the,
Yeah.
so, okay, so we have Active Directory, so this is a culprit. This will get us toasted in. a
Yeah, we
second.
also did all the CIS
Oh my God.
benchmark applied to them, we kept the whole, the CVs coming for them, we applied them, just heads up.
Good. There are very specific things we'll have to,
Yeah.
I'll work with you to
Yeah,
fix
sure.
this,
Yeah.
right? So are you guys with me that how somebody, these are attack vectors, so I'm just taking one of them for an easy use.
The email link, phishing. you know,
Somebody
that's a-
clicks it, that's the easiest way to get inside. So what happens is, the moment I come and sit in somebody's Satnam, I go and sit in your inbox.
Hey, Avi, can you try one of these? That pen is dying.
Oh,
Unless it's my eyes are dying.
Sure, no, that's right. Okay, so I create a rule inside.
This one's the best one, Abhi.
Normally, actually, I will order a trash can in your office that when the pins don't work, we throw
We
it
just
there.
throw them, yeah, we just throw them
Okay.
in the trash can.
So I create a
Ah.
rule, and basically that rule says, start watching Satnam, who's talking, he's talking, and eventually they will know I talk to Alex, meaning Satnam talks to Alex.
Yeah.
And Alex talks to somebody who has admin access, right? That gets them to this place, Active Directory. The moment I get there, that's the domain controller, I go for my admin rights. And at this point, there's a direct tunnel that is created from outside to inside to admin right. And then I start
Remote
basically
session,
throwing
yeah.
EXEs inside. So in a ransomware exercise, we have to basically assume this is compromised, right? My Active Directory domain controller. So what does this do? This basically authenticates against my network, these domains, which Alex is saying, the three domains we have. So anytime anybody gets authenticated in these domains, we are all part of this tree.
Yeah.
Right, and so administrator is also a part of this tree, and then that's when I go inside all this good place here, and then I'm just looking for open ports. Our RDP ports are there, our RDC ports are there, all these good old machines are there. All I have to do is just get inside here. After that, it's a free fall, because I just basically have to just execute and lock any computer that comes on my EXE. Somebody opens up and says, okay, I see this, and then they get a signal back saying they've captured 1, 2, 3, 4 thousands of instances, and they become a part
Yeah,
of
so
it.
this is why, so by the way, the other observation was that people inside the lab, those machines, for wireless to log in to secure. So I asked Jackson to create just for every network we have, VLAN, have a corresponding one, because we are segmenting. So those machines can log into that segment, with Wi-Fi.
Right,
We
right.
don't want the outside, Wi-Fi to be used
Right.
inside.
And all the work, so just so that you don't get scared, all the work that we are doing is we're trying to limit the damage
Yeah.
in a very limited period of
Yeah.
time, right?
Right.
So because we don't have time to think. The moment this gets compromised, none of us can access anything.
The idea is the firewall will prevent anybody,
Yes.
any traffic coming to here
Right.
out of laptops unsecured.
And it takes time, it takes 8 to 16 hours to fully get into everywhere. They
Yeah.
take a longer, it's not like it happens, but when it happens quickly, but otherwise it takes time.
But we have a layered protection though. We have firewall that looks at IOCs, drops it.
Yeah.
We have CrowdStrike, but it's still, if you are sophisticated enough, you can bypass.
And I'll tell you, in 90% of the cases I've seen, people do not inform that they have a blue screen. It takes almost 5-6 days, sometimes going unnoticed when the full ransomware attacks
Oh my God.
really happens.
Yeah, when they think they reboot it, it comes back, but now already running behind the scene.
Yes,
And
yes,
it-
yes,
yeah.
yes. In our environment, we have layers of defenses now with Armature, with Alex team, with security team. So we have good guardrails. So does it make sense what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Okay. So for ransomware, when we have to conduct this exercise.
But on-prem, do we have a Active Directory on-prem?
I have to
Yeah,
find
we
out.
do not, but this one does on a VMware, because that's how the machines authenticate in the
Yeah.
lab. Yeah, we have one dedicated.
Satnam, I haven't started my job yet.
Yeah.
We're just
Technically.
warming up,
I'm only working on presentations right now. I have to get inside.
But Alex, even for the VMware, they can't egress out, or can they egress out?
No, those are kind of, preventions we have, but again, unfortunately, Active Directory, especially industrial space, it's a evil necessity, it exists. But what we are trying to do, we have hardened it, we don't let the people log in, only admins have an access. As a matter of fact, I brought it up that I wanna have a bastion host, and definitely tie it up, with specific IP and MAC address filtering, that sort of stuff.
We'll do a full assessment.
There are quite a bit of, work.
2020.
And that's where Sarat comes in too. So will you do an assessment and then we'll bring in Sarat too, or?
No. This is a very.
No,
this
pen
is-
testing, by the way, revealed quite a bit of these things as well. That's what I'm looking to see what they find. And I don't want this first attempt, the data to go to anywhere else, just to be limited
Yes,
to us.
yeah.
And
This
then
is
we-
going to
yeah.
be internal,
Yeah.
very tightly controlled thing.
But I hope that the pen testing will reveal these things, because
Depends.
Yeah.
AD security testing is completely separate
Yeah.
from, normally, anyway, we'll talk, that will be Q1 exercise for 2026.
Right.
There are few things we'll have to do it to make sure that we are. So for this ransomware exercise, what I have done in past is, we have to assume that we are compromised at this position. Okay, that's a scenario that we'll have to understand. Now, you're asking these questions from Alex, right?
Yeah.
Am I going to get impacted on-prem? How secure is I? So that's a part of the nature of the ransomware tabletop, that you get a call from me, Satnam, people are reporting blue screens, we've been compromised, and then you jump, we all get huddled on a few assumptions we'll have to make, that our laptops are working, our phones are working and all, which don't work at that time, but we have to do that. And then you start asking questions, and in that scenario, Alex, myself, other folks, lab operations, they actually start giving you answers. And then once so it's about a 2 to 3 hour real-time exercise with folks from your team and some lab operations team who will basically give you an update. And then we basically start executing our cyber incident response plan. And then part comes, basically communication, like what do you say to Bob? What do you say to that communication? Legal, let's assume that the screen message says that we need $10 million in Bitcoin.
Yeah.
So legal comes into this, okay, can we do it, can we not, blah, blah, blah. So that's the nature of this exercise.
And we did one about a year and a half back.
Okay.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, the ransomware?
Yeah, it was done by DeFi guys.
Oh, okay, yes, I know that, yeah. So,
A tabletop, or we welcome?
No, we.
No.
Oh.
No, we're not compromised.
Okay.
Alex.
Okay.
It was a
But-
tabletop? It was
Yeah,
a tabletop?
tabletop.
It was a tabletop, yeah.
and in case if we plan to use, let's say PwC, what will happen is, one of the scenarios, so one case scenario will actually be focused on this part completely, in which we will run an exercise to assume how well this team is prepared to respond.
Yeah.
Do they know whom to talk to? Do they know who will be on site? Who will coordinate all those things? And then what do they say to you? And what do you say to Paul? What do you say to other folks in the?
So by the way, we have few guardrails. We have a second copy of all our data in different region with different sets of keys. So because if they have, it's not they can stop our business. We have access to our data. This is why we keep them separately to begin with.
But which data are you talking about, Alex?
Any data, anything, all the three buckets.
So we have a backup of everything.
We have backup of everything.
That's on-prem.
On-premise, exactly. That's what we use, Veeam and Druva.
And is Veeam and Druva, but it's putting it into the Veeam cloud and the Druva cloud.
Correct,
right?
but this is why with Veeam, we want to get the ransomware option. Now what they do automatically, they get the second set of keys, second copy of it, that in case somebody got access, they store actual data. And they do backup, we still get a second backup that has all the keys, credentials, everything separately.
So Satnam, all these questions you're asking and all the answers that Alex is giving you is a part of that whole exercise.
But I don't want to wait for that long.
No, I get it. No, I get it, but.
Because, and I think we need to go through a very similar exercise to systematically go through.
Yeah, we have.
Because the question that's going to be asked, and this question's been asked, so I know, right? So what they asked me was, can you walk me through both the on-prem and the cloud, right? On the AWS side, what is our exposure? Where is the data? And basically I walked them through what the data is,
Right.
what the controls are,
Right.
and what our exposure is. So Alex, if they have a version that also replicates the data in some other mechanism, or they have a faster SLA, I think we should definitely.
Yeah, because I worked with Robbie on it. Robbie ensured me that we have the copies of the data in the.
So what we'll do is, and I'll highly recommend in 2026,
Yeah.
what you're asking is what are the crown jewels of Grail?
Yeah.
And if they get impacted by a ransomware attack, how quickly they'll be brought back in what time? The process is that we identify those crown jewels business by business function. And then we basically have now Danny who will run the DR exercise for all those to make sure that those RTOs are in place. And it takes 6 months to execute all those scripts to make sure that we have backups, and then Alex feeds into that script. You get a quarterly, monthly report saying this will happen.
The exposure also could be if one of our vendors, for example, if Workday has an exposure, right?
Yes.
it's also on the cloud. Of course, they have their own processes to protect against it.
That attack surface area is pretty big for.
Yeah,
for
within the
us.
enterprise, we have
Yes.
so many different SaaS applications.
So this is where, to be totally transparent, at this in two companies, initially at Kaiser, even SaaS applications, we had a special arrangement. We, through the, our, integration, we brought all the data, raw data, in-house,
Yeah.
because just in case, Oracle HCM got impacted or anything like that, we do wanna make sure that we have all the information, what
Right.
our employees, what we pay them.
Right.
So if, for extended period Workday is out, we should have, be able to data pulled into,
It's just, it's expensive.
Yeah, it is.
That's
Definitely
the
expensive.
whole point there.
Yeah.
So my suggestion would be, we should do a ransomware exercise, we should do a ransomware exercise with focus on lab. So that we all understand the risk. I think we have to educate the other folks who run the business and make sure that they align and understand their role in this process. The outcomes are going to be this: update our CIRP plan, do we have a kill switch? All level 1 to level 5 that somebody was asking in the call today.
That, exactly, so one of the things I have asked Jackson to look at it, we do wanna build the kill switch to our
Yeah.
firewalls,
Right.
that, we just take entire internet egress, out until, we
Yeah.
we wanna preserve stuff as we,
Right.
yeah.
And I think because we are maturing and doing so many things, with Mod 4 filings, we are doing segmentation and all, but DR should become a focus for us for sure in 20.
We did one, right, Andrew, did we do tabletop with DR or BCP?
We've had
We
one.
did. We
Yeah.
did one that Ryan led
Yeah.
about 2 months ago, and Shrey is working on an additional one with the team.
Yeah.
And I really like where this is going. And the other part that I don't want to lose sight of is there's the technical component and the backups. But another thing to help educate is what are the key decisions we'll be faced with, and if we want to explore with the team, the extortion component as well. Part is, do we have a copy of our data? The other part is, once an actor has a copy of our data, how will we respond to that, and who's involved in that decision making? Right, when I read these exercises, it's about shortening decision space.
Yeah.
Do we know when and how we'll contact law enforcement? Do we have the relationships in place to do it? When does the board believe we will notify them in a ransomware attack?
So we did that in the last one. We also had the executive team also part of it. And Janet ran it, so I think she should have the notes and the action items from the
Okay.
last one that was run.
I will check.
And Andrew, we have to inform FBI and Homeland Security ASAP. There is, that's a requirement they have.
That's a legal call,
Yeah,
let them make it.
yeah, but we have to.
But do you have the connections with FBI?
No, I do have, I have the Mountain View Bureau contact, so that's what I was saying, we
Okay.
should have them to come here,
Right.
introduce them to this team as
But
well.
Alex, let legal make that call,
Mhm.
right? Because there are pros and cons of
Yeah.
that relationship, so.
But it's, we have to definitely have to explore, but if we don't, we are on the hook. If they don't want to
See,
directly talk about
Government
it.
will always want to come inside our
Exactly.
premise, but anyway,
Yeah.
let them make that
Yeah.
call, it will be hard
And maybe
for
we
us.
should bring it up with Abram anyways, see
Yeah.
what their position is.
And now we have Kathy also, so
Yeah.
people will have their opinions there. So, does it make sense? And I think we should do it if this has been the concern.
But can we systematically, at least start one more thread, Avi? I know we have the Mod 4 work and the team is busy. Because this is a question that keeps coming up pretty periodically.
They should.
And the question that's gonna come up is gonna be all about, what is our risk level associated with having a ransomware attack?
Should I prioritize the ransomware
That we will
workshop?
start informing quarterly. Andrew and I discussed in our first meeting.
Because in that risk thing,
Yes.
we have it as high, right? So on that slide, we have 6 or 7 risks that we highlighted. I
Yeah.
think one of the risks that we highlighted there is ransomware chances. So right now, the risk level is high.
Because we don't have a formal program around it, right, today?
So then the question is like, why is it high?
Yeah.
What are you doing to bring it down? With all of these additional work that you guys are doing, it was high, it's still high, right? What do we need to do to be able to bring it?
So the answer normally in this scenario is that, look, we'll always be the target because we have a brand, well-known brand, our stock price is high, So, and you know, so
That's
it will
equivalent.
always be.
And a
right?
healthcare company is
Right.
heavily target, 1/3 of all ransomware
Right.
attacks happen in the
So-
healthcare
so-
segment. It is there.
So the
But-
risk will be high. Let me just give
Yeah,
two things and
yeah.
then you can. So the risk will be high. We will constantly, the reports that we are showing you with our external and internal threat is basically telling you every day we are working to reduce that risk, and our scores that we show is
Yeah.
exactly that. Thirdly, we have to assume that there will be a breach one day. I know not the way I'm saying it, but there has to be a way of
You have
saying
to be
it.
prepared for it, yeah.
Right, and then start really talking in that direction, that when that disaster
I think
strikes-
high is fine. By the way, when we have put the corporate risk level, we have put cybersecurity at the highest.
Highest, well, that's
So,
good.
so, I know, that is one notch lower than what it was before, which is fine.
It's just that because Grail as a brand is so well known right now, and
Yeah.
the stock price is always like,
Yeah.
so it's a good news, right? So we are mitigating that part.
Yeah.
So, but there is a way to massage that message in the sense that I get your point. Like, we cannot constantly keep it high. We have to show that how we are mitigating that risk. But like,
Or we have to show, ideally we have a deck that we prepared, right? So just like what you're saying, right? So it's initially is, okay, these are the ways that typically it can happen.
Yeah.
You walk through a
Yeah.
couple of them. And then I think the next section is with all of the documentation that we're generating from Mod4.
yes,
Even if we just focus first on, on-prem. So these are the assets, we have the
Yes,
nice diagrams,
yes,
I think we all
yes.
understand it now pretty well, right? So these are the vectors,
That
and
will-
then,
yes.
the Mod4 work that Alex is doing is actually helpful, and it falls in very nicely with those 6 different aspects of the NIST anyway. We've reduced the threat surface.
Yes.
We have segmented the network pieces, we've done, vulnerability management,
yeah.
all of that helps.
I can
Then-
build up a deck on that, absolutely. Mehul.
We can have one more section that talks about on the cloud now. And even on the cloud, if we just keep it to Atlas, Stan, or the pieces that we did for the Mod4, because then it can be a cookie cutter to the other ones.
Yeah.
Right, then we go through the same story, and I can work with you.
Yes, yes, yes.
If we can jam on it, like.
I will.
So it's like a textbook thing, and it's like a playbook
Yeah, yeah.
of exactly how we see it. And then let's just say that we have one more session with Sarat or some other experts. They'll come in with maybe some other scenarios that we haven't thought about, then we enhance it. And then walk through. The same thing as what you guys are, what we're doing with the threat modeling.
Yeah.
The threat modeling is the same thing,
Exactly
right?
same thing.
This is one of the
Yeah.
Yeah, where are we
threat
gonna
vectors.
expose, when we are exposed, right?
Right.
That's it.
Attack, but what the messaging is that, look, as long as we could keep bringing new technology in, these attack
Actually, the
vectors-
answer is very simple.
Straightforward.
As a part of the Mod4, we did threat modeling. One of the scenarios that you walk through is ransomware.
Exactly. Well,
Right.
no, I wouldn't say, but yes, I get it.
Stride, right? We use Stride framework.
Yeah. Yes, yes.
One of that is
So,
ransomware.
that would be too much confidence. See,
Yeah, no, not having that much
yeah,
confidence, but-
like,
but-
it's a balance between saying
Yeah.
we are doing our best
And-
and we're
of
reducing the
course,
risk,
of
but
course.
it can happen.
Of course.
Otherwise, if too over, because cloud and AI.
Absolutely right.
Yes.
Absolutely right. Even Okta had a breach, right? So.
That's the
Yeah.
whole point.
And
So,
this is one of the reasons there is quite a push that people are getting off the cloud for high-risk applications that are coming in-house. So we need to be prepared. I know where your head is,
Yeah.
but
It's on the
be
cloud.
also be prepared.
It's not on prem.
Be prepared that there is a high-risk assets are coming in-house because of, those reasons, right?
And I'll tell you why we're on-prem, right? Just like what you just told me, right? People walking into the lab with their phones
Abhi.
and their laptops, right?
May I take picture with us?
no,
Company
no pictures, I will write
Oh,
because
that's
I know
the
everybody
Amazon
wants it, I'll
technology.
define it.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
okay.
absolutely, yeah, yeah. But even it's worse, how do I know that laptop that walked into the lab is a company sanctioned laptop, or is just?
Because we all are here, we're not in
Exactly.
in RTP.
Yes, you don't know.
But I think, this is just for you and.
The zone Armis will help us quite a bit,
More than
looking at-
Arbis, I think we should define Grail's zero trust principles as a technology, right?
Well, I have some that this is mostly applying for more of a network architecture, but it is a lot bigger than that.
And I mean, like theoretically, as company, what is our posture? Are we asset-based authentication company or identity-based authentication? They all have a
Well, yeah.
meaning based on our business. many companies go with asset because it minimum
I
defined.
was initially worried that you won't have enough work
Yeah.
after the submission. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, for me, is, this is what the EBA,
come on in.
UBA stuff we are talking about is asset and identity both.
Okay.
Because if we know that sanctioned people are in accessing with the sanctioned
Well-
devices, that kind of,
We'll talk about it.
Yeah.
These are simple things, but it can happen, like, if we don't agree on it, then we'll always be lost.
No, we have to
Yeah.
start doing, trust me, this is why initially I came, I focused on this.
Martha, have you met with Danny?
I have met with Danny multiple times. Hello, Danny.
Hello.
I'll go to the end. Abby, you're fine. Nice to see you again.
Nice to see you again.
You're fine, Abby.
You're-
I'm gonna go to the
okay,
end.
I think we're done with this meeting.
Yeah, so our next step, should I engage PwC, Alex and can?
Absolutely. I think, anyway, we have to get PwC to come and do the assessment at the end of the year, right?
Any
Yeah.
timeline on when you want to do the ransom?
I think when I realized that as part of Mod 4, we had done the threat modeling, and in Stride, but we didn't do a thorough job. Yeah. I want to do a deep dive on
Yes,
this.
yeah.
This is going to be a fun exercise, Abhi.
Yeah,
So maybe we do it after we get the Mod 4 out, right?
September,
Let's-
October, because it needs at least 4-5 weeks of planning, and
Yeah.
then one day we need like half a day commitment,
Yeah.
maybe 2 hour or 1 hour from ET, and then operational team like lab operations about 4 hours from them.
Internally, let's put Ryan, because we have been
talk to you
working.
now.
Yeah, Ryan and I have been working on some scenarios as well, but let's just formalize it.
Yeah, we'll
But
all do
we
together.
can jam on,
Yeah, we'll all do
on the
together.
deck that I was talking about.
Yes.
Especially with all of the Mod 4 work, right? We should be able to, come on in. Thank you, Danny. This-
Danny,
Danny.
yes, let me come down and talk to you about.
Okay.
I give you this picture.
Okay, thank you so much.
But you got what I was trying to say.
I got it.
A kill switch, CIRP.
Danny, you also
I think
have an
that's mine.
answer for me on.
And that book is mine.
Oh,
That book is
sorry.
mine.
the book is also.
Here you go.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Welcome, Danny. You already got a whole bunch of cool assignments.
I know.
Isn't it
Do you have my
great?
pen by chance?
Sorry, here's your pen.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Have you met
Special
Marco?